we're right into the next article, which is professional fix and flip market is poised for growth in 2025.
Oh, shoot.
This is not a Los Angeles Fire article, but we have a lot of sentiment that has grown in the professional fix and flip market. People's sentiment about meeting the demand needs in real estate is hot right now. General contractors are busy. People are building in available space they have on their land or in their yard, and I don't see an end to it. And on top of that, came across my inbox this morning, guys, all the new permits, or of the new permits that have been pulled for building, now the majority, more than 50% of them, are for multifamily. So here we go. We're going to see some sort of this sentiment spill over into actual, inventory here soon. What are you guys seeing? What are you hearing?
Yeah, it's all about maximizing the space. Of course, this whole ADUs rules with the, HOAs not being able to supersede or create their own rules and regulations. City level also can't, just put their own rules and regulations. It's all state mandatory with the ADUs, additional dwelling units for some people. I don't know that. But it's allowing you to go out there and obtain these permits much sooner and not have all this friction with these, with the architect department at these, county levels. And so it's just facilitating the process, making it more convenient for builders to build, homeowners to want to build, and encourage them to actually, bring more properties there because of our density situation. And yeah, the way to go would be to build ADUs and make them multifamily.
So, go ahead.
No, what I've noticed about, working with investors is that relatively they stay in the same area. And I really appreciate that this article gave them that highlight where they're actually, reviving the community, bringing in better inventory, making the community a little bit better. And a lot of these flippers, I didn't know were part of the community boards, very invested in the community. And it makes a lot of sense because if you start hearing what the community needs, if you're able to start filling those voids, I mean, you're a value to the community as much as you're actually profiting as well and carrying a good business.
Absolutely. So I want to piggyback on that because I think something that, and again, we don't really talk about this overtly, but something that I know, again, I'll use our own neighborhood here as an example. Rolling Hills is a desirable neighborhood, and there's nowhere else to build in Rolling Hills, except unless your lot has space to have an ADU. Now you can create another unit inside this desirable neighborhood. And so where people may have been locked out because there is no resale market, or the resale market is just so tiny that you actually can't buy your way into the neighborhood, the additional dwelling units is a way for people to still have accessibility to living in the desirable neighborhood, even if you don't own the primary house. And maybe your lifestyle can suit that. You're single or you're newly married, you've no kids, so there's these things where there's these situations where I think that can be very advantageous for not only the developer on that side, but think about an ADU. It's going to be brand new. So it's going to be required to have modern permitting for the utilities, electrical, plumbing, all that stuff. You're not going to get away with putting stuff in there from the 80s. Not on those those rules.
And that's what it's talking about. This here is just encouraging and what's going on with fix and flippers and fix and hold, right? We're starting to see a lot of these fix and flippers turning their, not fixing, flipping the majority of their property because it just brings, revenue in, but they're also now considered a flip and hold. So it's not that it's a different loan. What happens is you're going to obtain a fix and flip loan where you're going to put a certain amount of money down. The minimum requirement for some companies is, 20%, where we have products for 10% down only. And then there's a rehab cost. So you have to figure out what that is. Okay. And so once you figure that out, you obviously get a contractor or somebody that understands, how to rebuild the property, bring it up to, selling standards or livable standards. And once they get that budget's also considered where some investors do not provide financing for rehabbing. We have products that we do, and that's why we work with several investors. For instance, we had a client that purchased a property for $500,000, right? Because of his experience, he's got more than 5 transactions. We're able to lend him the money. He only has to come in with 10% down. The rehab was $110,000, okay? We were able to finance 100% of the rehab cost. So the investor only came in with $50,000. Okay. Wow. These he has to provide a budget of the $110,000, pretty much breakdown, demolition, windows, roof, everything. And so according to what the contractor does, they prepay for the work that's going to be completed in the beginning stage. So for instance, demolition, and let's just say that's $5,000, and then they're going to put windows at $6,000. Once the contractor's done and the inspector goes out to inspect that work's been done, then they release those funds through a draw of $11,000, depending on how much work is done. So that's actually like a fund control that protects the investor and it protects the bank, because we're not just going to give it and hopefully the investor doesn't get $110,000, goes to Vegas and puts it all on red or black, right? Thinking I'm going to double my money.
Touchy subject here locally right now.
So that's some people, and we've been noticing a lot of people have been just doing a fix and flip, and then they have these loans are for 12 months. But now we've been seeing more of these contractors who are building these things like, why can't I get in the game? I have the experience. I know how to do it. I have the credit. I have everything. So we encourage them to do it. As a matter of fact, I've been working with a contractor. I won't say names, but, we've been working 3 years, and now he has 5 properties. Prior to that, he had none. He would just fix and flip for other investors. Now he has 5 properties that he's cash flowing on a monthly basis.
I know who you're talking about.
Because we were able to do what's called an exit strategy. Once he's completed the project, we do what's called a DSCR, just like the article states. And that's how we start creating that generational wealth, and how we start assisting not only our contractors, but our investors, making them understand that there's a different way how we can actually keep these properties. So I like the article.
No, and to add to Will's point, some of the investors that I work with, he went in and bought a property. He's like, I'm going to just fix and flip it. It's all right, like whatever. And, same thing, did the budget, got all his funds ready and everything. And he did what's called a feasibility study. And if you don't know what a feasibility study, it lets you know what you're able to, build on the property. It lets you know the zoning of that type of property. And if you have a contractor, do it, they're going to let you know more or less what that build is going to cost. After doing the feasibility study, when he closed, he realized, wow, I could develop 3 ADUs. And, he's like, well, then what does that look like if instead of me flipping the house, I do what's called the DSCR loan? So that allows him to then, pay off his existing flip and fix loan, put another loan on there that's going to allow him to either, rent it as a rental while he's going and working on what's called soft costs, getting the permits, getting all the plans and everything in order so that he could get ready to start the development. Well, in the back end, we'll be helping him set up with the construction loan so that when he has everything ready, he can utilize, that everything to be able to do his build. And what's crazy about it is that everybody looks at it like, let me just fix and flip. But a lot of people need to look into the lot size, because if you have a good enough lot, you're most likely going to be sitting on some gold, because down the line it's going to be a long-term play that is just going to profit. So I think it's really, really insightful that they bring this information and even speak about the DSCR loan, because a lot of people don't know that there's a loan that allows you to rent and utilize it for rentals. So I think that's really good.
I think the timing of this is really key.
Yeah.
We had already kind of talked and seen on our own sense that, hey, 2025, they're going to see a lot more ADUs being built, a lot of more multifamily. So having this kind of come up this week was like, all right, cool. A little bit of an affirmative, like, okay, we got our finger on the pulse. I know we do, but also like seeing it this way and really just... It's not really a promotion of it, but the article is kind of a promotion of it. It reads that way. It's like, hey, here's what you should do if you want to do this, and here's how you can do it.
Exactly.
So it's definitely kind of promoting people. If they're taking the time to read this, they're being kind of nudged in that direction, and I think we're going to see a lot of this in 25.
Well, last year we spoke about this, and last year they were mentioning more of the profits for a fix and flip and how a lot of investors were actually getting out of the market from it because the profits weren't there. And I want to say that the average profit was prior to was like 69,000, and it had gone down to like 58 to 62,000, which was discouraging investors. But now seeing that the average is 73,500, that's gone up. That's I have a lot of people that their rule of thumb is 50.
Yeah.
50.
50 or more.
They have 50, 50, and so I mean, this is a good way. It's an encouragement. It's getting a lot of people to start thinking entrepreneurship. Not only do you need to be doing this on the side, but this can actually be one of your principal jobs now.
And virtually speaking, you can agree or not agree, but it's easier to access funds for a fix and flip investment loan if you have the funds than if you want to go buy a regular house and live in it yourself. Even if you have the 20%. sometimes you still might not get approved if you want to go buy a house to live in it.
Yeah, no, and disagree. I wouldn't disagree because it's like more of an agreeable thing.
Yeah.
It's the path of less resistance, right? It doesn't require what your down payment, what your income is, because it's asset driven. You know, the asset's the collateral, and therefore everything's about mitigated risk when we're doing loans. And so when you have an asset that we know is appreciated, for instance, you bought it for $500,000. In this case, I didn't finish my other one. They bought it for $500, put $110,000. The value came in at $850. So the ARV, we have to send what's called an after repair value, has to be under 75% for the math to math, right? And so in this case, the math was mathing. It was under that 75% and we were good.
Yeah.
So that leaves a 25%. Like if the investor can't make their payments, we'll take over that property and we'll put it on the market and we'll make 25% on that.
And it gets me so excited talking about that, because once we learn how to calculate the numbers and you speak to an investor like, hey, this is my deal, this is what I have, and you run the numbers like, bro, this is a deal all day. And in that moment, you know you have a deal. Like that's
absolutely.
It's basically done after that. You just gotta have the money and make sure you give me all your documents.
It's hitting all the marks, meeting all the thresholds, and you're like, hey, the deal is the deal.
Exactly. And you know, Andy, to our defense, this is something that is new to us. We just got into the fix and flip world, into the ground up construction in 2023. And the reason for that is because prior to, there was no need for us. We didn't care about that. We were super busy. So when times are changing, we have to adapt to our new climate, right? And so we become those chameleons that we want to just be adaptable. And so one of the things that we always try to figure out, since, you know, I got my license, my real estate and my MLO, my fiduciary duty is to my clients. It's to, you know, how can I help their situation and how can I help them build that generational wealth? And those are things that I'm doing. Since I have grandkids, I'm trying to figure that out, you know? And so looking at these articles, this is very refreshing news. Seeing that I was able to, you know, teach these new traits to Brian, and now, I mean, this guy's just busy with the investors. All of a sudden, it went from regular, you know, clients. Now it's we're starting to do a lot of these fix and flips. You know, Texas, Tennessee, Florida. I mean, we're going all over the place now. You know, and the beauty of it is that now we're approved nationwide. We're able to assist our clients build that.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I'm going to just tie everything you said. It's making a positive impact, like the article says. Like, it's just making that positive impact. And I think, like, you know, just what you just said gave me the goosebumps, because it's like, you know, making the money and all that, that's great. But when you help someone out and then they're like, dude, I did it. If it wasn't for you and your team, like, dude, you guys literally, like, I didn't think this could be done. I'm like, inside just like literally like vibrating, because I'm like, that's exactly what I signed up for. That like right there. Like,
you feel like Britney,
that's it.
You feel like Britney Spears, huh?
Dude, I feel like going like, yes, like, let's go.
Oops, I did it again, huh?
Wow. But that's, you know, that's the feeling you get. When, I mean, that's the feeling I get when I help somebody, and it all goes good, dude.
Well, just talking about, you know, your last transaction, went in there, fix and flip. When you went over there and you toured the property with them, you gave them the idea, like, bro, what are you going to do with this land back here?
10.5.
All of a sudden, it's like, oh, connect me. Who do you connect me so I can do a feasibility study? We had the right contact. You put them in place. Now there's a plan.
You know who did it?
Know?
Our past guest, CJ.
Yeah.
There it is. So,
exactly.
Shouts out CJ.
It is super cool for me to sit here and listen to you guys talk about this, because I see it from the sideline. I see it from the side. I hear you talking. I overhear you talking about it, and I see the things you're sharing and posting, and the people you're talking to, and the deals you're working on, and it goes hand in glove with the move that was made last year. Is 100%. You know, being able to be nationwide now is a huge deal. That's the first thing, but then also adding this tool to the tool belt is a massive change. Now, I'm not saying that to be dramatic and to just inflate what it is, but it's like you got a brand new tool in 2023, and now that tool's 2 years old and it's working all the time. And when the deal does not meet the criteria, well, it's not going to get done anyways. But when it does, it's a deal all day long and twice on Sunday, as they say.
That's why I get to look how happy I'm going.
And that's the thing, right? The numbers have to work. Like, for instance, us building the ADUs in Chula Vista, you have to do the feasibility study. It's going to give you 3 exit strategies, right? It's going to give it if you want to do short-term rental, you want to do mid-term, you want to do long-term, right? In my case, my exit strategy is to bring elderly care there. You know, a 5-bedroom, give them a little more comfort. You know, last of their years there, I want to make it beautiful. I want to make it a place where it's serene to them. It's just something where they can just be calm, enjoy, make it where a family can come and visit, be happy where their parents are at, you know? And so that's my whole goal. As we move forward, we'll see how all that plays out.